Everyone, welcome to another episode of Independent Artists Unite song series. I am so psyched. Everybody knows what a fan I am of the multimedia artist, Zarina.
Hey
Welcome back to
guys,
the show.
thank
And
you for having me
oh, yeah,
again.
wonderful. And congrats on the new single, Exoskeleto, right?
Exoskeleto, yeah.
Oh, can you say it again?
Exoskeleto.
Exoskeleto. Okay, Exoskeleto.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Sorry about
it's
that.
exactly like the skeleton, but
Yeah,
without
yeah.
the N at the
Without
end.
the end.
Because I wanted,
Exoskeleto. Yeah.
because I like the it's not really Latin, it's Greek. Apparently it's Greek. I kept
Oh,
thinking it's Latin, because I
yeah,
always
yeah,
try
yeah.
to go to the Latin roots of some of the
Okay, yeah.
lyrics and titles that I use, but apparently it's Greek. So exoskeletal.
And this is the first single off your forthcoming album that's coming out in fall of 2024, right?
Yeah, this is the first original single from the record. Yeah.
And is talk about the album and then we'll go into the single. Like, is it going to be kind of a concept album with some of these similar things? I'm hearing like alien, extraterrestrial.
Yes, I think it's a nice progression from the last one, Arcana. Arcana was very earthbound. It was very celestial,
Mm,
mystical. There's definitely a lot of nature in it.
hmm.
And so a lot of the sounds in Arcana was a lot more organic, has that very organic vibe, very magical, neo-pagan,
Mm,
spirituality and all that stuff, and which I'm really into. And for the next record, and I've been planning this, I already got the next four records pretty much mapped out. So the next record,
oh,
I want to progress further and go more into outer space, so to
yeah.
speak. So, there's definitely a lot more futuristic now in vibe, more machine-like, much more masculine than Arcana, a little bit more aggressive. It's about, calling my power back type of thing, that
Mm,
type of record, where Arcana was about healing and oneness with with nature and the world. Like this one is about calling my power back and kind of just what happens after healing type of thing.
mm,
And so yeah, and I wanted to challenge my soundscape. There are still some of the old bits that I did in Arcana, that's a lot of the choirs and a lot of the giant drops or orchestral sections, but now it's juxtaposed with something more techie. So I guess that's the best way
yeah.
to describe it. More just more cyberpunk, but not like the cyberpunk genre that
Mm,
we know.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
taking a lot of these, these more futuristic type of sounds and making
Mm,
it mine type of thing.
yeah.
So that's where I'm going with the next record.
Yeah. Well, it sounds so awesome. And I think I saw like an Instagram story sometime where you said you had seen some, UAPs as they're calling them now, unidentified aerial phenomenon there on the coast of Spain. Did you see something zooming around there?
Yeah, we always see a lot of weird things here.
Oh
Like
yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
Because I have to
Um,
tell you, I am like cuckoo for this kind of stuff. I know
oh,
everything about every secret government program, this, that, multi-dimensional beings, extraterrestrial beings, the difference of this. I mean, I'm cuckoo for that stuff. We could
I
probably
I
talk all day about this.
I definitely, I know it needs like a whole new program just for like extraterrestrial phenomenon. Um, I mean, I've always been a believer because I really don't believe we're the only ones here. I feel like that's
Yeah.
so arrogant for humanity to think that we're the only ones here. No, we're
Mhm.
not. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
we're also the dumbest species species in the entire universe, But
Which
but
which is
yeah,
probably why they're showing up, right? Hey guys.
Yeah, no, I've been watching like Ancient Aliens and
Oh yeah, the
all kinds of
Sumerians.
shows. I love it.
Sumerians.
Yeah, totally.
And
Yeah.
Anunnaki. Anunnaki.
Anunnaki, right.
Okay.
Um,
We gotta talk offline, girl.
yeah, I'll have to talk about all that for sure. I love all that stuff because
Yeah.
I feel like it satisfies a lot of the questions I've always had.
Mm,
Like I mean, when I was a
yeah.
kid, like like many kids, they all wanted to become an archaeologist, and then I got into like ancient Egypt and all that stuff, but something
Mm,
was not adding up, and things like
mm,
why do they seem so much cooler than we are now?
yeah.
When these are like ancient
Mm,
times. So just going back to this, the laser precision that they had in their art, in their architecture, and all their
yeah. The
designs,
pyramids
just
and all these things. Yeah.
no
Great.
way you could have made that with
No.
chisel and hammer. Like, give
No.
me a break.
No. Yeah.
There's something more. There's something going on in there,
Yeah.
but yeah, we need to discuss this offline.
Yeah, I know.
Because
To say nothing of the of pictures of flying saucers in
yeah,
hieroglyphics.
and it's not just the Egyptians. We're talking about the Mayans,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
like even some of the ancient civilizations in Asia. Um, and I have indigenous Filipino lineage, and part of the pre-colonial Philippines actually really believed in star people, and
Mm,
these figures that are not from our world, not from our planet. So,
yeah.
I'm also trying to kind of honor that a bit.
Yeah.
But going
Yeah.
back to Spain, yes, every night, almost every night, we see some weird things like in the
Wow.
sky because we like to walk our dog super late at night. Um, because
You're so
where we
cute,
are.
by the way.
Thank you. Um, where we are, it's kind of like a party town because it's a beach town, right? It's
Yeah.
so normally at night there are a lot of people, and so we kind of want to go much later, like when everyone's gone home. So we
Mm.
normally walk our dog like around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes
Oh wow.
5.
Yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, we've seen numerous occasions, weird things
Mm.
that are happening in the sky. And there was one time that there was this kind of delta shaped um flying object with
Mm.
8 lights that are perfectly set in this delta shape, just hovering over the ocean next to our house. And we kind of just like stared at it. Look, my husband and I looked at each other. We're like, what the hell is that? And then it flew so fast.
Yeah.
It
And
hovered.
that's one of the common
And
shapes
it
too. I've seen that shape before. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, so that was weird. And then we've seen what looked like stars kind of moving on its own and creating kind of like the formation of certain constellations. Or like that star
Wow.
is moving to complete the whatever constellation.
Yeah.
Like, I always forget their names.
Oh
And then
man.
it's like, and then we look at each other and be like, you saw that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm watching it right now, and I'm trying to take videos as we
I'm so
speak.
envious. I've never seen I've never, but I don't know when the last time I was walking around at 3 or 4 in the morning, if that's when they come out.
I think so too. And then I've spoken to a lot of our friends in other parts of Spain, and they're like, yeah, we see that a lot. Like, what is it about Spain? Do the aliens like Spain? Yeah, is it because we got great chorizo or something? Like, but apparently it tends to happen that strange things happening in the sky.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, it seems like they seems like it tends to happen in beautiful spots where there's beautiful nature too, more
yeah,
than it would be a city or something.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if I was an alien being too, I would probably avoid the cities. I'd probably lock my door as I drive by the city.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
Um, you know, one of the reasons that I love what you do so much is I like grew up idolizing David Bowie, and then it like expanded to anyone that did like for their new album where they had like a new look, a new makeup, a new outfit, and then, and carried that look into a video and developed it further, and so I just love how you do that. um and this one is like, well, I mean, they all are like these intricate looks and always like something new. But for Exoskeleto, you actually have these like metal pieces um, that are
Yeah.
like fitting over you. Like, when does the look and the design of everything come into it? Did it come after the song? Does it come with the song?
Um, oh my God. Well, I've had that metal piece in my face. We actually modified it a bit, but that was originally by my friend Greg Cara.
Mm,
And he does these amazing, like, sculpture pieces that are wearable. And then I've had that for quite some time. And I think it was just coincidental that, oh yeah, I have the perfect costume for this next song that I'm working.
yeah.
And I think it's just like, it tends to happen. Like I tend to collect interesting things. Like I just like whenever I see something on the internet or if I want to support my friend who's doing cool things, I go buy their pieces. I go collect their pieces. So actually, everything that I've worn in my music videos and in my album covers, they're all pieces by my friends. Like,
Mm,
I love supporting them, and they're really really cool artisans. So I just happen to have a lot of those pieces that I wear. And I guess it's just like I've just been so consistent with vibe that, I know what I like in terms of aesthetics, and I also know what I like when it comes to sound, and it just happens they marry well together.
yeah, 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 yeah. I just love that. Um, and
Thank
you
you.
um and you collaborated with your husband again, right, on the music video.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's the genius behind the music video. He created the armor. Like,
Mm.
I did like a quick little sketch of like what I think it should look like. Because believe it or not, when I was working on Exoskeleton, when I was working the sound design, like I actually didn't know where to go in the beginning. And then I saw this video of a bioluminescent creature called the comb jelly
Oh
on
yeah,
Instagram.
yeah,
And it looked like an alien. It looked like an alien from the abyss, right? And I was like,
yeah,
that's really cool. And so I kind of challenged myself to kind of just go with like a sound design that went with that creature. And so it was this, yeah, the bioluminescent aspect. Although it was a soft creature, it didn't have an exoskeletal aspect to it. However, there was another creature right after that video that came up on my feed that's called the slipper lobster. And that one was definitely exoskeletal and
exoskeleton.
yeah, and bioluminous, right? And it was
Oh
really
wow.
cool. So together I was like, okay, this is cool. I
Yeah,
like this is going visually and I want to sound design around it. And then the sound design became the soundscape for Exoskeleto. And
wow.
then so when my husband and I were working in a music video, at first actually it was supposed to be shot outdoors, and we had a very different concept. It was supposed to be this cyber samurai and
Okay.
super tacky, almost like a mecha type of samurai, but of course like not a giant robot, like just a small robot.
Hmm.
And we were gonna shoot outdoors, and then but the weather was not cooperating with us. Like it was been horrible the last 2 months, and we were running out of time. And so we kind of had to just put that concept on hold. Maybe we'll use it for another video later on.
Mm.
And at the very last minute, we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? Like, we have to take it indoors. Our spaces here, of course, they're not as big as like, outside in nature and all that stuff. So we had like
Yeah.
a very small space upstairs where we could film. And and I was like, well, why don't we kind of just make this like a little retro futuristic,
Mm.
like and kind of like The Abyss. So we went back and watched The Abyss again,
Mm.
just to take down notes, and then a couple years ago, or maybe a year ago, there was this series called The Cabinet of Curiosities by Guillermo del Toro.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and there was that episode, I think episode number 7 or 8, where it was like all very like retro futures, kind of like 80s
Mm,
sci-fi type of thing. And then I really loved the cinematography on that one. And so we're like, okay, why don't we keep the production for Exoskeleto super pared down,
mm.
not like the big ones that we do with like the drone
The
filming and
drones
all
on the
that stuff.
mountaintop.
Yeah, the mountaintops and like, like walkie-talkies of like, okay, like trying to figure out what we're doing because it's just really just the two of us filming all of that. Um, and
That's
no,
so
let's just
amazing. Yeah.
keep the pared down and then make this all about the filmmaking. And we like, my husband is he's a film nerd, like he loves his lenses, so
Mm.
he has these really awesome um Soviet anamorphic lenses that are super
Wow.
old that create that beautiful atmospheric, natural
Yeah.
anamorphic like lighting and
Mm.
glows. And I was like, let's just focus on that, because
Mm.
that was the magic back in the 80s, like, and early 90s. A lot of the filmmaking was using
Like
all these
in the
beautiful
lens.
animal
Yeah, yeah.
graphics.
We're in the
Yeah,
film.
and then just clever lighting, and
Mm.
then so and then we went on to design the armor. I was like, okay, I was showing him all of my little comb jellies,
Sketches.
my
And can you
my
make it
sketch.
blink lights?
And then we were
Oh,
like,
sure.
so yeah, the challenge was like, well, how are we gonna make a bioluminescent exoskeletal kind of armor, right? So that was our challenge, using the comb jelly and slipper lobster as inspiration. and and so we went to the hardware store, just by the way, like, a lot of the stuff that we use are
Let's go
also
to
from
Home
the hardware
Depot.
store. Yeah,
This
exactly.
is the new commercial for Home Depot.
Yeah. So we got like these LED strips, just whatever they use in their homes, and then we
Yeah.
got these clear water hoses, and we
Oh,
just
yeah.
put them together, like, and then the clear water hoses, they were pretty heavy duty actually, and
Yeah,
they
I
weren't
know those.
super.
Yeah.
They would like just like hold shape,
Right.
and then yeah, and then we just like rigged them together to create that to
Like
create kind
cross
of like.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it worked. We were like, by the time filming, was set, we were like, okay, let's hope everything works. Like,
Yeah.
all of our experiments are all happening at the same time.
Yeah, but it gives that warrior look because it's like reminiscent of like Schwarzenegger with the bullets crossing in front of him or something. So you look like some like sci-fi warrior priestess,
We
something.
were just watching The Running Man, and then we were like, there was this guy that came out with like full LED
Oh yeah.
armor, and we were like, oh, we could have made that.
You say the Running Man?
Running Man,
The
yeah, like
Running
the
Man.
old.
Oh yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
So funny. I love that era. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that
yeah.
era.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Um, so you kind of had the soundscape, you kind of had sounds like the soundscape and the look was coming together at once. Like when did the like lyrical content of Exoskeleto come together? Was
Oh,
that after the
definitely.
music was already done, or were you kind of like,
Yeah, after the music for sure. I mean, I already knew kind of what I wanted to say when I was producing and doing all the arrangements and all that stuff. And I normally focus on lyrics right after production. And I wanted to just find the right word. So I do spend a lot of time just like thinking of exactly how I'm going to say it. Like, the melodies are actually set. Like, I already
mm.
know how the vocals are going to go. It's
Oh
just
really?
finding
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
the right words. Yeah. And yeah, that took a bit. That took actually a bit of time because like I
Mm,
had to really dive deep and be like, okay, I have to be it has to be honest, like, and it has to be truthful and
mm,
kind of just like how do I express everything that I'm feeling, and it all just came out.
yeah. I asked you if you would read the lyrics to the
Oh
song. Could
yeah,
you read it? And then I had some questions about
sure, let's
what
go.
meanings you would share. Yeah.
So here are the lyrics. Some things are too hard to let go, reminders of all the pain of my own growth, bleeding from the knives they drove into my sides, treading on the brink of my own death inside, shedding all my skin to become alive, unleash the creature for another fight. Biomechanical, on the prowl like an animal, exoskeletal, celestial, anomaly from the skies. Some things are too hard to let go, reminders of all the pain of all of my own growth, gripping all the grudges driven to my sides, burning from the fire scorching deep inside, shedding all the pain to become alive, unleash the creature for another fight. Biomechanical, on the prowl like an animal, exoskeletal, celestial, anomaly from the skies, biomechanical, on the prowl like an animal, extraterrestrial phenomenon, calamity from the skies. And then the choir section comes in. And they say exoskeleto biolumina anima machina, which translate to exoskeletal bioluminescent soul machine.
Mm,
It continues biomechanical on the prowl like an animal, exoskeletal celestial anomaly from the skies, biomechanical on the prowl like an animal, extraterrestrial phenomenon, calamity from the skies, calamity from the skies. Certain things are just too hard to let go. Calamity from the skies.
mm. What I was wondering is there kind of like this personal thing that you're talking about, and then also kind of like this sci-fi story, kind of all at once?
Yeah.
Things going on, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's actually
I was like relating to it like on many levels. Like, of course, like there's life struggles that form you and that kind of, if you're lucky, become spiritual experiences, when you survive them. But then I also was like, I mean, on this like extraterrestrial terrestrial tip or, you know, multidimensional being situation that we might be, or seems like we are. Um, it seems
you
like I'm
know,
wondering if like some of that power, like you're talking about, is like reaching towards other dimensions that you might. I mean, what do you think about that, or other, or like your higher self, or like as an energy being or something?
that's definitely kind of like what I'm trying to illustrate as a metaphor. It's like, the song is about, you know, going through pain, struggles, death. Really, like, I feel like a part of myself really died before, and then
Mm,
I had to be reborn. How do you
mm,
get reborn? And how and what form are you reborn, and that's really the biomechanical creature, which actually when I was writing it, it really brings up aliens like the xenomorph
yeah, yeah,
into
yeah.
but like jokes aside, I always felt like you get crushed by life, right? Like, life has a way of beating you up, but it's kind of just like putting you under the pressure so you could become what you're meant to be, type of thing.
Yeah.
And the song really talks about that, like, you get beaten up but you gotta have to rise up and then kind of just re-enter the ring, so to speak,
Mm,
and then you take everything with you, and the biomechanical creature is really, yeah, the metaphor for the higher self. Like, what's that higher being,
mm,
and I feel like, and I'm going to speak personally, I feel like you can only access that higher being by going through life. You just have
mm,
to go through.
yeah.
And that's the road, ups and downs and everything. That's the only route. And so it's like, it's the song is about, just keep going, and summoning the courage to keep going, and to really fight back.
Mm, yeah, yeah, but it's you know, your stuff is so inspiring, and I really identify with it too because I'm the same way as that I'm always like seeking the higher thing, as like a solution. I mean, you can go through life and become more and more weighed down and more bitter and just start treating people badly, or you can like look at it as like, okay, can all these things happen and still I insist on seeking the higher way, to
Right.
to make it through, right?
And it there's a way, like life has a way of pushing you to transcend. Like
Mm,
you have to transcend. There's so many things that we deal with, and all due to societal constructs, really. Like where,
mm,
and a lot of it's really petty, like, a lot of the material pursuits.
mhm,
It's so petty. We
yeah,
know for sure of many really successful people, including musicians, who
mhm,
really garnered their success, but they ultimately end up being incredibly unhappy, and
mhm,
you know taking their own lives and all that stuff. So there is something more to life,
yeah,
obviously, right? And sometimes a lot of the things that we think we want to pursue is not really the answer, kind of
mhm,
thing. And I feel like with me and my music, I feel like music is kind of like a route of not just expressing myself, but also kind of getting to know who I really am.
mhm,
And hopefully I could find answers by exercising my capabilities in music and creativity. And to me, that's the most important thing about being an artist. It's like it's not so much about like, oh wow, like I got a billion fans, know.
mhm,
Um, and I feel like that's, yeah, sure, it would be great, but I feel like that's not what's important.
mhm,
I also learned in my previous chapters, what's a certain kind of success looks
mhm,
like and felt like, and it wasn't obviously the answer,
yeah,
for me. And so I kind of knew already. So just like with many people, I'm also trying to figure out, and the only thing is that people see what I'm doing while I'm figuring myself out. And they're kind of
mhm,
like, when they listen to the music, they're also experiencing the things that I'm going through, that I'm
mhm,
trying to
yeah,
kind of like crack the code. I'm trying to crack the code here.
yeah,
And maybe it would help others crack their own codes too. So
yeah. I mean, I'm exactly in the same spot. We could, I better just fly down to Spain and we'll just talk about this all
come
night.
hang out, come hang out with us. On the beach, let's look at let's hunt for aliens and
Yeah, walk the
or
dog at
eating
4 in the morning.
dog.
Yeah, but I just love talking about this stuff, and it's like, of course, I'm assuming your husband is on the same page with all this stuff, and it's great to find, uh, you know, a partner that you share all these things with, but it's not like the kind of stuff that it's not the regular kind of cocktail party chatter. But this is like the kind of stuff I love to talk about, but it can really drop a bomb on a conversation.
I I feel the same way too, and I'm glad that we're talking about this, because there aren't a lot of people you can really talk to about these kinds of things. And I guess that's why a lot of us are loners or something, or we become like hermits, like, or like, what, rather just like live in solitude.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Because they don't get it. That's the thing, they don't get it. The normies don't get it.
Mm,
Just call them normies. They're still
yeah.
stuck in their societal ways. And some of us have already graduated from that. Sorry, normies.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Now I just want to talk about your melodies, which I love. It almost sounds like you're kind of designing the melodies, like you're looking at it as like another musical instrument first before there's words to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just my preference in writing. It just makes the process easier.
Yeah. And I'm curious, I was joking as we just went on singing the melody to Exoskeleto. I love when you're going up into that uh, high falsetto, leaping up there and then coming back down, which is not an easy thing to do. When you're approaching a song like that, are you already thinking, I want to do something like that? Or is it just does it just come in the moment melodically? Or are you thinking, I want to hear some kind of like warrior cry like that? That sounds like,
I, uh, I guess a combination of everything that you've said, but I feel like it's just a natural inclination.
mm,
Like, because I listen to a lot of music
hmm,
and um I enjoy a lot of music and I kind of I normally hear a certain pattern amongst a lot of vocals,
mm,
out, and I have this tendency to kind of just break that pattern just
mm,
for me personally and for this project where I'm like, I want to deviate from the normal
yeah,
arrangements.
yeah,
So and that kind of just and then I've been doing something like that ever since my first record, and so it kind of just became like a habit, and so
mm,
it just became a natural inclination. Um, nothing that's like, nothing that's forced for sure. Like I try not to force it,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I do challenge myself whenever I hear something that I'm like, well, that already sounds like a song that exists out there. Like,
mm, mm,
like I
mm.
kind of just I have if it sounds like if it sounds too like normal, so to
Yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah.
like
And
I
go for
would
something either. Yeah.
what can I do? Like, what can I do? So I'd go play around, with the melodies and sing it over and
Mm.
over until it finally comes and it hits me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, well, this is a great one. I'm totally walking around the house singing it and shocking the people that I'm currently staying with as I it really carries through the house, that melody.
It's great.
Yeah, I just love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us here. And I'm super psyched for. Are you going to release other singles, by the way, before the album comes out? Or do you
I
know how many?
think there might be one more single before the album comes
Okay.
out. Probably either July or August. We haven't decided yet.
Oh, cool.
And then the record we're hoping to. Well, I'm still writing like the last couple songs for the record.
Okay.
So our goal is hopefully either around Halloween or early November. That's the goal. So
Okay.
and yeah, and we're trying to do something a little different this time when it comes to the album release.
Oh, cool.
And the
Well,
merch.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm legitimately excited about everything that you do. I just
Oh,
love what you do and what you do with your husband and the videos and everything. And thank you for doing it. Thank you for putting this stuff out here. I'm so personally inspired by it, and it's like whenever I see something of yours, it's just a breath of fresh air and just like a total inspiration to
oh,
me.
thank
So
you. We
thank
have
you.
music coming out in like this month, right? Or in a few
Yeah,
days?
Friday. Yeah,
Friday.
Friday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, thank you. Um yeah, so yeah, I'm excited about that. But yeah, it's just wonderful that you're out there doing this stuff. So thank you.
Oh,
And
thank
thanks
you.
for coming on the
Thank you.
show. Talk to you soon.